Good morning. It is Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. We're here for our 3 daily lectionary readings. Psalm 124 is our psalm reading. Daniel chapter 1, verses 1 through 21 is our Old Testament reading. And the Gospel of Luke chapter 1, verses 46 through 55 is our New Testament reading. Let us listen in to the scriptures today. Psalm 124. If God hadn't been for us, all together now, Israel, sing out. If God hadn't been for us when everyone went against us, we would have been swallowed alive by their violent anger, swept away by the flood of rage, drowned in the torrent. We would have lost our lives in the wild, raging waters. Oh, blessed be God. He didn't go off and leave us. He didn't abandon us defensively, helpless as a rabbit in a pack of snarling dogs. We've flown free from their fangs, free of their traps, free as a bird. Their grip is broken. We're free as a bird in flight. God's strong name is our help, the same God who made heaven and earth. Our Old Testament reading comes from the book of Daniel chapter 1. It was the third year of King Jericho's reign in Judah, when King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon declared war on Jerusalem and besieged the city. The master handed King Jehoiakim of Judah over to him, along with some of the furnishings from the temple of God. Nebuchadnezzar took king and furnishings to the country of Babylon, the ancient Shinar. He put the furnishings in the sacred treasury. The king told Aspenaz, the head of palace staff, to get some Israelites from the royal family and nobility. Young men who were healthy and handsome, intelligent and well educated, good prospects for leadership positions in the government, perfect specimens, and indoctrinate them in the Babylonian language and the lore of magic and fortune telling. The king then ordered that they be served from the same menu as the royal table, the best food, the finest wine. After 3 years of training, they would be given positions in the king's court. 4 young men from Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, were selected. The head of the palace staff gave them Babylonian names. Daniel was named Belteshazzar, Hananiah was named Shadrach, Mishael was named Meshach, and Azariah was named Abednego. But Daniel determined that he would not defile himself by eating the king's food or drinking his wine. So he asked the head of palace staff to exempt him from the royal diet. The head of the palace staff, by God's grace, liked Daniel, but he warned him, I'm afraid of what my master the king will do. He is the one who assigned the diet, and if he sees that you are not as healthy as the rest, he'll have my head. But Daniel appealed to a steward who was being assigned by the head of the palace staff to be in charge of Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Try us out for 10 days on a simple diet of vegetables and water. Then compare us with the young men who eat from the royal menu. Make your decision based on the basis of what you see. The steward agreed to do it and fed them vegetables and water for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, they looked better and more robust than all others who had been eating from the royal menu. So the steward continued to exempt them from the royal menu of food and drink and serve them only vegetables. God gave those 4 young men knowledge and skill in both books and life. In addition, Daniel was gifted an understanding of all sorts of vision and dreams. At the end of the time set by the king for the training, the head of the royal staff brought them to Nebuchadnezzar. When the king interviewed them, he found far superior to all of the other young men. None were a match for Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And as they took their place in the king's service, whenever the king consulted them on anything, on books or on life, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters in this kingdom put together. Daniel continued in the king's service until the first year of the reign of King Cyrus. Our New Testament reading comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verses 46 through 55. And hopefully I won't mess up on the names as bad as I did that last reading. Whoa. And Mary said, I'm bursting with good news. I'm dancing the song of my Savior God. God took one look at me, and look what happened. I'm the most fortunate woman on earth. What God has done for me will never be forgotten. The God whose very name is holy, set apart from all others. His mercy flows in waves after wave on those who are in awe before him. He bared his arm and showed his strength, scattered the bluffering braggarts. He knocked tyrants off of their high horses, and he pulled victims out of mud. The starving poor sat down to a banquet. The callous rich were left out in the cold. He embraced his chosen child, Israel. He remembered and piled on the mercies, piled them high. It's exactly what he promised, beginning with Abraham and right up to now. And here ends our readings. Have a beautiful day. Peace. And if you aren't doing anything tonight, worship at 6.